When you walk out of here, you're going to have a better understanding of not just the theory of climate and culture, but you're going to know where MJ sits with their climate and culture, and also where you fit into it. And this is going to require your participation. I heard someone earlier say that we're not very talkative. Is that accurate? We're going to get you out of that, all right? First, we're going to start off with where you are. Obviously, you're in the basement of Building 2, MJ Electric. Who lives in Michigan? Raise your hand. How about Wisconsin? Indiana, Minnesota, Iowa. What'd I miss? Pennsylvania? So some of you just got up this morning and came to work, and some of you have been here. You had to take a flight, you had to get a hotel room, rental car, taxi, Uber, all that jazz. Not a lot of Ubers in the Iron Mountain area. Is there? No. So that's where you are now. I want you to think forward to where are you going to be on Saturday? Just think in your head, where are you going to be on Saturday? You might be at a family reunion. I have a friend that's getting married. You might be at your son or daughter's soccer game, baseball game. We all have a ton of things going on, and that leads me into the concept I have of be where your boots are. And I kind of came up with this when I was in Afghanistan because I was trying to deal with things back home while I was 7,000 miles away. How do you think that worked out? Not very well. So I came up with this idea of the round room with 4 sides. And these are the 4 big chunks in my life that I had to deal with. The family, teaching, football, and army. So when I'm at my son's baseball game, I try to keep my phone away. I try to be at the game. When I'm teaching, obviously I don't have my phone on, but my dad doesn't understand that. He's been retired for 15 years. He calls at 10 a.m., leaves a message, hey, what are you doing? Dad, I'm at work. All right? So that goes along with, as we get older and more responsibilities, more and more things stack up in our room. You might have pets, church, you might have a Harley. Any Harley riders? Thought I saw a Harley shirt back there. You might have golf, boys and girls night, but the bottom line is you can't do them all at once. You have to be where your boots are. So what I'd like you to do, well, before, I'm going to have you guys talk with each other, but in order to quiet down such a large group, all I'm going to do is hold my hand up and say signal. And when I do that, all you have to do is hold your hand up and end your conversation. Easy? So what I want you to do, we're going to try it, is you're going to take that round room with 4 sides. I want you to write down what are the 4 big chunks in your life that you're always trying to manage. Write those down, and then I'd like you to share them with somebody to your left, to your right, or both. So go ahead and take about 2 or 3 minutes and go ahead and do that. Signal, please. So you guys are pretty good at that. All right, so I'm assuming most people had work. You're sitting here. Most had family. Some had pets. What are some things on there that maybe nobody else in the room has? Who's brave enough to share? What do you got? Sleep. Sleep. Anybody else have sleep? What else? Yeah. Farm. What kind of farm? Beef farm. Awesome.
That's the same thing.
Really? Anything else that would be unique? Yeah.
Outside time, like hiking, kayaking.
Excellent. Love that. I heard some back in the back, they said, I don't have time, I just work and family.
Yeah. Time too.
Yeah, did you guys come up with anything else between the 3 of you? 4 of you?
No, you just told me sleep, so I wrote that down.
I love it. Sleep's important, right? All right, so now that we've gone through that, we're going to watch a small clip. It's an onboarding example, and it's actually really tough. They take 3 separate organizations, they completely dissolve them, and they put them into one brand new one. They have brand new employees. You'll see why I put that in quotations here in a second. They have a brand new leader, which is controversial in itself, and there's no established culture. They don't even know what it is yet. So as we watch this clip, I want you to think about where is this organization headed in terms of its team culture. Signal, please. All right, let's hear it. What did you see? What did you feel when you saw Coach Boone with his players? You saw Coach Yost walk in with the white players? Division. Good? There.
2 teams.
2 teams, okay.
2 different leadership styles.
So what's the culture in the organization right now?
Split.
Yeah.
There is none.
Yeah.
There is none, for sure. So we're going to talk about culture, and we're going to use Shine's definition of it. And basically, it's the shared basic assumptions that is taught to new members, that's you, and how they should perceive, think, and feel about problems. The easiest way to put it, instead of some fancy book answer, what people think are normal. Does that make sense? All right, so as we move on here, we're going to talk about the 3 levels of culture. The top level is going to be the artifacts. That's what we see. The middle level is going to be what we say that we do. Those are our values and our beliefs. And then the bottom part is going to be assumptions within the organization. So let's go back to artifacts for a second. These are observable behaviors. These are things that you can physically see, touch. If I go into an office building and there's a sledgehammer there, that could be an artifact because that broke ground on that building. The bottom part, if I'm an outsider, I might not have any idea what that artifact means, but to the people in the organization, it could be very important. So those are artifacts. When I look at the MJ artifacts, it comes up with your branding. When you see those things there, you understand that that is part of MJ. So on your paper and with your friend here next to you, I'd like you to come up with some artifacts on different organizations you've been a part of. It can be a church, it can be another job. If you're a member of the Kiwanis, the Masons, a high school, all of them have artifacts that they share. It's those visual representations of what that organization is all about. So see if you can come up with 3 to 5 artifacts. You can write them on that sheet of paper and then be prepared to share what they are and why they're so important. So take 2 or 3 minutes to do that. Signal, please. All right, what are some artifacts that are unique to an organization that you've been a part of?
I worked at a bank, their first dollar bill was framed.
That's really neat. That's really neat. Do we hear that? Worked at a bank, their first dollar bill was framed on the wall. I like that. What else?
Military squadron patches.
Absolutely. Morale patches. Yep. Love it. Yeah.
I have a little vial, clear vial, it's a keychain, and it has a mustard seed in it. And I received it from one of my friends when I visited her church.
A mustard seed. I love that. That's a perfect example of if you saw that, you wouldn't understand what it means until you heard the story.
Yes.
One more? Go ahead.
School mascots.
Beautiful. Who knows what Kingsford's mascot is? The Flivvers? Anybody know what a flivver is? 1923 Model T Ford. I got a whole nother lesson on that later. All right, so now that we've talked about artifacts, we're going to talk about the beliefs and values in every organization, and this is what we say that we do. Stated beliefs and values of the organization. Now, where am I going to find those when it comes to MJ Electric?
Mission statement.
Mission statement? I tried to make it easy. I put it on the paper for you. Mission, vision, core principles, key focus areas. Now, MJ Electric is a huge organization that does several different things, from people in offices, typing on keyboards all day, to people digging ditches, to people up in the air. So when we're talking about these things, it's easy to think, well, that doesn't apply to me because of my job. However, it has to, because you are a part of the MJ family now. So take a look at that mission statement. I'd like the first row to turn around and talk to the second row. And what is this, like, what do you get out of this? Third row, turn and talk to the fourth. Fifth row, I'll get you involved in a minute. You got to talk to your people right next to you, okay? So first and third rows, turn around. What do you see when you talk about this mission statement? Signal, please. All right, I heard some conversations in the back about safety. Share with the group what you guys were talking about, because that was pretty good.
Well, when I first came up to the MJ and safety, really I was like the first woman out there, and most of the guys that I kind of work with kind of, have that when I'm turned around, they kind of like, oh yeah, safety. That's kind of like really their big thing, like, whoa, like, pretty much kind of like in a sense of, where we don't want to hear what you got to say. Or they kind of feel like, you're out there to kind of dictate their job or something like
Get
that.
them in trouble.
That's-
Out there trying to get them in trouble.
Yeah, that's what most of the guys are kind of like, until they get to know you or get to know, like, how things are running out there, then it's kind of, a little smooth. But the first couple of weeks is kind of hard. Very uncomfortable. I'm not going to say hard, just uncomfortable.
Are you willing to share? Because you were kind of leading that.
Sure. I think the mission statement says
Oh.
basically, safety over our people, over the work is most important. And
Yeah.
it's all inclusive for all divisions of our company. So everybody should understand that, to get the job done safe before you try to take any shortcuts. We're looking out for you. We have to look out for each other, make sure that everything's going the way it's supposed to.
Your job isn't stacking dominoes for most of you in the field,
Right.
right? Dangerous stuff. Excellent. So another espoused belief we have is the vision. Now, a vision, the way I understand a vision, it is what the future looks like, why we want it to look that way, and how we're going to get there. So when I look at this vision, what does the future look like? Again, I underlined it to try to make it easy.
Expanding service, new challenges.
Expand services, new challenges. How are you going to do that?
Innovative techniques and technology.
Innovative techniques and technology. That's going to come into play here in a second. And then why? What does MJ want to be? The one-stop shop. They want to be the single source solution from using high performance and quality. All right, so where does safety come in?
First. Kind of like a first.
Comes in your key focus area. Safety culture, that literally a part of their wording is that we have a safety culture. What does it mean to operate with integrity? Who can give me a definition of integrity? Yeah,
Doing the right thing when no one's watching.
I like that. Doing the right thing when no one is watching. I'm going to flip it a little bit, and I'm going to say doing the right thing when everyone is watching. Let's say you're out at your thing tonight at the 906 and somebody's having a few too many barley pops. It's really hard to go up and correct a peer or correct a superior. They grab their keys, they're heading off to their car. Are you going to have the integrity to go stop that? So it's doing the right thing when no one is watching, but also doing the right thing when everyone is watching. Inspire each other and invest in the company's future. How the heck do we do that? I just climb poles. How am I supposed to inspire someone else? How am I supposed to invest in the company's future?
There's always been people coming in.
That's out
You got to be a mentor as well.
encouraging.
Right? In 3 months, they're going to have a group again, just like this, and they're going to end up on your job site. You will now be they, right? They do it this way. That's going to be you. All right, so how do those things affect your job performance? Whether you're climbing poles, whether you're in the office, how do you keep these from just collecting dust on a billboard?
Putting them in practice every day.
Okay? I just want you to stick that in your brain. That's going to come back later, too. All right, so now let's talk about assumptions. This is where the good stuff is. All right, it's actions taken for granted by the group, and they're very difficult to change. Doesn't matter what these things are, this is how the job is actually done. Make sense? You've all seen this? It's a little scary sometimes. Who's ever heard of the 5 monkeys experiment? So there's 5 monkeys put in a cage. This isn't real, it's just a thought experiment. 5 monkeys put in a cage, and there's a ladder with a bunch of bananas at the top. Every time a monkey starts to go up the ladder, all 5 monkeys get sprayed with cold water. What do they learn?
Not to go up the ladder.
You don't go up the ladder. So pretty soon they're just living in harmony with a bunch of bananas just out of reach. So then they replace the monkey. Well, that new monkey comes in and has never been sprayed with the cold water. What do? They try to go up the ladder, and the other 4 monkeys rip him down and beat him up. He doesn't know why. He just knows when I try to climb the ladder, I get ripped down. Pretty soon, all 5 monkeys have been replaced. None of the monkeys have ever been sprayed with water. None of the monkeys ever try to get the bananas. because that's the way we've always done it. Raise your hand if you've ever heard that on a job site.
Way too many.
Why?
Because that's how they always do.
Because that's how they always done it. Talk to your shoulder partner if you've ever had this happen on a job site. And why is this so hard to break? Well, this is how we've always done it. Talk to your shoulder partner for a second. Signal, please. So based on the volume, I feel like everybody has a story about that, which is great. Remember, you are now they. You are now stepping into that role. So when I bounce that idea of the 5 monkeys off of your core principles, it doesn't make any sense. You're not operating with integrity if you never look for new ways to do things. You're not inspiring each other. And you're definitely not investing in the company's future if you say, this is how we've always done it. Yeah. Now, the counter to that is if you do learn, if you do get sprayed with the water, and I just use the example, I can watch my brother touch a hot stove. I don't have to do it to know it hurts. When I bounce the 5 monkeys off of your key focus areas, I just want you to ask the question, why can't we eat the bananas? When you ask those questions, somebody will tell you if they know. But if you end up like those 5 brand new monkeys and nobody on the job sites knows why you can have the bananas, now we have a problem. When I bounce it against your vision, it talks about using innovative techniques. Instead of worrying about the bananas, maybe you can figure out how to turn the water off. That's MJ, that's your vision, that's your mission. Those are your core principles. That's where you are right now. That's where you belong. Don't be the 5th monkey. All right, so we talked about culture. It's the shared basic assumptions. How did we say it was simple to remember? It's what people think is normal. All right, so now we have what you see, what we say we do, and what we do. That is all culture, all together. Now we're going to talk a little bit about climate. And climate, if we're using our tree metaphor, is just the leaves. What happens to leaves on a tree? They move, they fall, they turn color. Culture is ingrained in the roots of the tree, where your climate is more of a day-to-day. So it's the shorter term thoughts on how we currently think about the organization. This can change from job site to job site. It can change from week to week. If you have a new leader come in, it can change when the safety person comes. Right? Uh-oh, I'm going to get in trouble now. But it's the perception and the attitudes. And the reason I say that is if I think you are angry with me, I am going to act like you're angry at me. So it's perceptions and attitudes. Just because somebody perceives it doesn't mean it's true. And just because it's true doesn't mean everybody sees it that way. So there's formal components and informal. These are easy. This is on your job application. This is your job description. This is your purchase orders, your hierarchy, your chain of command, your wire chart, all those things. These are easy. Easy to measure. It's the informal ones that are really hard to measure. How do you measure relationships? I don't know. So we're going to talk about people, power, and relationships first. And what I'd like to do here is row 1. We're going to try something. I know it's tight. If we can stand up, push in our chairs, and kind of huddle in the middle, you're going to talk about meaning of friendships. This is specifically outside of work. Row 2, you're going to do the same thing. You're talking about importance of relationships within your job site. Row 3, superior and subordinate relationships. This is at your job again. And then 4 and 5, how is status conferred? Is it who's been there the longest? Is it who knows the most? Who's been the most schools? How is status conferred? So when it comes to people, power, and relationships, let's try it. Let's stand up, push in our chairs, and kind of huddle towards the middle and talk to people we haven't talked to before. Again, these are tough to measure, but I'm going to lean on the 4th and 5th row because I always find it interesting how status is conferred. Again, working on a football staff, working in a school, working in the Army, it's easy. We all wear a rank on our chest. But how do you see status being conferred within the job site?
We mainly just talk about like doing it whoever has like the idea of being the safest within the timely manner of getting things done. I mean, it usually is a title mainly, but for the most part, it should be who has the better idea, the safest idea, the quickest way to get it done.
Okay. How about one more idea from the back? How is status conferred on a job site?
Years of service or length in that position.
Okay. I was on a concrete crew once, and the old guy ran the show. He wasn't the boss, but he ran the show because he'd been pouring concrete for 25 years. So that's how status was conferred. All right, so when we talk about work, norms, behavior, and performance, this is kind of interesting when you think of work ethic because it's a very individual thing, but it can be impacted by the leader of the job site. It can, but not always. How do we talk about appropriate behavior? Depends on where you're at. If you're in the office versus out in the field. So what do we have to do different when we're in the field, but maybe on a day we have to come into the office? What are some things that we maybe change our behavior with? Language?
Language.
A construction company uses poor language?
You gotta put on your customer service voice.
Okay.
Put on your customer service voice. I love that. How about somebody had mentioned they were in the office, but they went out to the field? Do you change your language?
We try not.
What you wear? If you show up to the job site where they're digging a ditch with your shirt and tie and clipboard,
Yeah, making sure you got the proper PPE.
right? Okay. So we're going to talk about competition and cooperation. They can both be positive and they can both be negative. So fifth row, we're going to get you involved now. So fourth row and second row, if you would turn around and talk with the people behind you. First row, you're going to have to talk with your friends here, but how does competition, how can that be positive and negative, and how can cooperation be positive and negative? Because it can be both. So go ahead, second row and fourth row, turn around. Talk with people you haven't talked with before, between departments or within your crew.
Pushes each other.
How so?
So, I mean, depending on, how it's applied, but, within, your crew and whatnot, everybody wants to be, quote unquote, the best. Well, if we're doing it, in a cooperative, positive way, you're pushing each other to hone your skills more, to learn more, to, push on to that next level.
It's the iron sharpens iron analogy. How can it be negative?
Same thing.
You get too competitive.
Too competitive? That's where you have the fist fight break out at the church picnic? Oh, speak on that, please.
So, competition, you're going to win at any, way possible. So people might start taking shortcuts just so they can, be perceived as the top dog, the best, whatever.
And when I hear shortcuts, I think unsafe.
Exactly.
All right, excellent. How about cooperation? Let's say you have to work with another crew on a project. How can that be a good thing?
You may learn new ways to do things.
Excellent. What else? Yeah.
So I find that if I'm creating something for the team, if I involve them and ask what they need, what issues they have, they're more inclined to cooperate and use it in the long run.
Absolutely, you get the buy-in from the people that you're leading. Excellent. How can it be negative? Yeah.
Having like a bunch of yes men, I mean, if everyone's doing the same thing wrong, then everybody's doing something wrong.
Excellent. Did we hear that? If everybody's doing something wrong because they're a bunch of yes men, they're still doing it wrong. Awesome. Anything else?
Like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen? I like it. All right, so when we talk about beliefs, values, and emotional rules, these are big brain concepts that after all day of looking at PowerPoints, I'm sure you're not thrilled to talk about. Just know that they're there, right? Specifically, I would say the last two, perceptions of trust. You can all look at an organization you've been in and say, I trust that person no matter what. You can probably look at the same organization and say, I wouldn't trust that. If that person told me it was raining, I would go look outside because I'm not sure. And then the definitions of justice, modesty, and achievement. Those can get pretty hairy depending on where you're at. But achievement is an interesting one because achievement for somebody running power lines might look very, very different than someone who is typing up spreadsheets. And if one of them gets recognized for doing a great job, maybe they did a great job. But if you don't understand that, it can be really difficult. It can seem unjust. All right, so here it is. Where do you fit in? You are the individual leafs in this climate and culture spot. So, what I'd like you to do, there's a QR code on the bottom left-hand corner that says if you enter, you can win a prize. What I'd like you to do is please just fill out the feedback for this part of the presentation. Once you are done with that, I'd like you to stand up, push in your chair, and go talk with somebody that you have not yet met today. Talk to them about your round room. Talk to them about all of the things on the other side of the paper, the vision, the mission, the core principles, and see where do you fit in. Try to talk to somebody that's not in your field. If you're an accountant, go talk to somebody who drives trucks. If you run wires, go talk to somebody who's in HR. All right, so fill that out first, and then I will know everybody's done because everybody will be up and talking.